What's up, everybody? I'm Dapper Jeff, your gamer chef, and tonight we're making a fantastic dark side themed French onion soup inspired by Jedi Fallen Order. It's going to be delicious, it's going to be powerful, much like the dark side itself. Come with me into my kitchen, let me tempt you. Alright guys, the first thing we want to do is grab our base components. We have 4 fresh chopped onions, slice them into rings. If you have a mandolin, you can use that to guarantee they're about the same thickness. I didn't think about that, so there are varying degrees of thick. So we're gonna get our onions and everything prepped for the soup. First thing we're gonna do is take our butter, throw it into our pot. We've got this pot on medium-low heat, so we don't wanna burn anything. So we're gonna let this melt. I'm gonna move it around to help it melt. All right, so like I said, we wanna melt down our butter, and we're kinda doing that. I mean, forget kinda, we're totally doing that. All right, so our butter's nice and melted. Next thing I wanna do is take 2 bay leaves, drop them right in. I have 2 sprigs of thyme, drop those in. Take our garlic. Don't throw that in because you might splash hot butter and that would hurt people. We've got our onion that, you know what? Before we add the onion, I'm gonna add in 4 shallots that I chopped up. Some of them are diced, some are just chopped. I'm gonna mix those in. I'm gonna mix all that around because that's gonna be aromatic and delicious. Now I'm gonna toss in our onions. So you can either dump them all into the pot or just do what I'm gonna do here and, you know, grab a little handful and, because all we really want to do now is kind of, really wish I'd have grabbed a bigger pot. This is on me, guys. We want to mix everything. We want the onions to caramelize, and that's going to take some time. Right, I'm going to mix this around because I do kind of want to break up our onions. You do want to cut them into the rings, much like we're seeing here, because they're going to be delicious and caramelized and oniony. They're starting to loosen up, loosen their juicins. At this point, we're gonna take a couple twists of black pepper, that seasoning in. We're gonna take a dash of sea salt, and when I say a dash, I mean, that's it. That's all the kosher salt I'm gonna put in here. I'm just gonna sprinkle. I'm gonna mix this up, and all you wanna do at this point is let the onions cook and caramelize. That will take about 25 minutes, so this is definitely not a quick dish. All right, guys, so our 25 minutes has passed. This is what our onions look like. They are beautifully caramelized. The smell is amazing. I'm going to take the next step and take 1 cup of sherry, or you could use red wine. I'm gonna pour it in here. I'm gonna bring that to a boil, so I'm gonna increase the heat just a teensy bit. I'm gonna mix it all up so this gets all flavorful and delicious, so that all of our onions have a chance to absorb this magnificent flavor. Ooh, oofta. All right. So, next up, you're gonna bring this to a boil, which it looks like we're doing. Looks like we're pretty much there. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce! Now I'm gonna reduce it to a simmer, and I'm gonna let it cook down. I'm gonna let that wine evaporate. Should take about 5 minutes. So yeah, until then, you know, kick back, play some more Fallen Order, embrace the power of the dark side, or, you know, just talk to people you care about, talk to some loved ones. I'm gonna set my timer real quick for 5 minutes. I just realized I didn't do that because I'm being silly. But yeah, no, I got to thinking as I'm making this dish, you know, it's winter time, it's getting cold out. I mean, it's gotten cold out. A lot of people are getting kind of bummed out, you know, with seasonal affective disorder, you know, sad. What with the sun not being around. And it made me think of, you know, there are people I just, you know, you always want to kind of check up on, make sure things are good. And this dish reminds me of my dad, because he used to make this amazing French onion soup. I couldn't get his recipe yet. I might do like a revisit later on once I steal the old man's recipe and market it as my own. That's right, old man, I'm taking your recipe and sharing it with the world. But until then, this one's mine. One thing I also did, if you guys are anything like me and whenever you cook bacon, you hold on to the bacon grease, I took a nice spoonful of that bacon grease and right into the onions. So it's gonna have that little bit of a salty smokiness to it, but like just a little. All right guys, so while that's actually reducing, one thing you can do is pre-cut your French bread like I did. Take your Gruyere cheese or Swiss if you don't feel like, if you're not a fan of Gruyere or just, you know, want to do something different. And just a little piece on each, because we're gonna put those under the broiler in just a little bit. We're gonna melt that on there. We're gonna make some delicious French bread croutons for our onion soup. All right guys, so it took a little more than 5 minutes, but we let a lot of that moisture simmer out. Next up is very important. We're gonna carefully grab our bay leaves, because that's hot. We don't need them anymore. They're inedible. Do not eat bay leaves. Don't do it. It's bad. They do not taste good. They make your food taste really good, but they do not taste good on their own. If you're really skilled and you can still find the stalks from that thyme, you can fish those out too. I have no idea where those went, but because of the force I was using on my spoon, I've probably minced up those stalks, so that's okay. I'm gonna toss these out real quick. Right. And now I've got our flour. It's just 3 heaping tablespoons of flour. And all that's gonna do is help soak up a lot of that moisture, help dry out the onions for our next step. So I'm gonna just mix this all together. I'm gonna let this cook for about 5 to 10 minutes because that'll get rid of that raw flour taste. And like I said, it should help thicken this up a little bit. And then is when the fun begins. All right guys, so I'm gonna turn up the heat to medium. I'm gonna pour in our beef broth. And I'm a little bummed out because I misread the recipe I was using. So I did not get enough beef broth. However, that having been said, a true Jedi, or Sith, adapts. I have some chicken stock that I'm gonna add in. So this is my fantastic barnyard French onion soup. I also added in a little piece of Gruyere cheese, broken up, to give the onions just a little bit of a little touch of like cheesy, smoky flavor. And, hold on one second, and by doing so, I found, where is it? Where'd it go? I lost it. I had one of our sprigs of thyme. Anyway, I'm gonna mix this up, mix everything together. I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and once it gets to that boil, you're gonna let it simmer for about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna increase the heat just to get it up to that boil, because I did just pull one of these out of the fridge. That having been said, this is the perfect time to set your broiler on high. Make sure your oven rack is right under your broiler, because my friend, we're gonna toast those little pieces of Italian or French bread I showed you earlier. We're gonna make croutons, melt the Gruyere cheese on top of them, and they're gonna go on top of our soup. It's gonna be fantastic, I'm gonna tell you right now. You're gonna be like, what is this? It is so good. I'd be like, dude, I know it's good, and for some reason now I'm like from Jersey, so you know, it's really good. That's how you know it's good. I'm gonna grab this, open my oven, and ideally, it's gonna toast the bread and melt that cheese on top. Kinda wish I could have a camera in the oven recording all of this, but we've got about 3 minutes. I'm gonna let that toast, I'm gonna let that simmer, and I'll see you guys then. So make sure you get some salt and pepper in here, just enough to season it to your liking. gonna put that much of that. I'm gonna grab one of our fresh croutons. Yes, some of them look a little burned. You're just gonna carefully float it on the top. And there we go. I'll see you guys in just a second for the outro. All right, guys, that's how you make a fantastic dark side French onion soup. It's delicious, it's nutritious, it will bring you unlimited power! I'll see you guys next week for our next episode. Make sure to click like and subscribe down below so you never miss an episode. Let me know in the comments what kind of dishes you guys want me to make. If you really like us, consider supporting me on Patreon. I'm Dapper Jeff. I'll catch y'all next Sunday, but until then, stay well fed. Wee, butter spinning. Hey, the Jedi don't want you to have this much fun. This much fun is reserved for the dark side only.